Okay, so meaning therapy is holistic and integrative, and it's just like person-centered, but it's going beyond that. And let's just move on here. Now, Amy Van Dersen from England, and she talked about the 4 dimensions of life, and we talk about that too. We talk about there is a spiritual, personal, social, and physical world. And we live in this complex world. And that's what I always say, you know, we're making of the same stuff. We have cognitive, emotional, social, and spiritual. Yeah. Okay. So meaning therapy is trying to incorporate all the different parts of us in our different world. And of course, to be effective use of self, we talk about how many self this morning, right? With so many different self. And this is the picture that Paul had conceptualized and put together. And I think very interesting. We have experiencing self and observing spiritual, executive, narrative, unconscious, and habitual. And it's very complicated. We don't have time to go through this. Now, for example, executive self, you are organizing and you're making decisions. Then you have all these experiences and you're looking and when we talk about distancing and through mindfulness and you're observing yourself, and that also gives you the experience. Of course, we have the spiritual conditioning practice and the transference and dependence. And also, I mean, our lives is so complex. And you try to draw a picture of life, and that's what it looks like, as simple as we could possibly make it. Okay, now these are if you say, well, what are these selves? Okay, we have slides and you could read over. Okay, I don't have time for that one. So, yeah, what is that we'll have to get into a lot more discussion than just going through this. All right, let's move on to something Okay, let's talk about cross-culture, because we're talking about the cultural self. Yeah, they're all in your, no, I'm just skipping them. Okay, you know, culture has a pervasive influence on people's behavior, attitude, and value. That's what we talk about this morning. And we cannot understand the client's private meanings without knowing their cultural background. So we are not doing it because we are nosy, because we do want to understand their behavior, what's the meaning behind that, and that has a lot to do with how they were raised, in what context they lived in, and also the sensitivity to personal struggle in combating discrimination is essential. In other words, we have to develop a common ground that we can share and we can build up. All right, this is what I wanted to talk about. So often when we started the meaning therapy, now there's no questions everywhere else to talk about meaning therapy. Before, most of them, we have a chapter in one of our books and say, what is the meaning of meaning? Okay, yeah. What is meaningful life for you? What is a meaningful life for you? Have you ever thought of that? What is meaningful life for you? Carl?
I guess this just means that you live to your full potential, meaning that you become your best self. I mean, you actually aspire to live your life to accomplish your goals, your dreams that you desire.
So you actualize yourself,
right,
and you live meaningfully.
Right.
Okay. Anybody want to add to that? What is meaningful life for you? Bonnie.
I love that quote, to love and be loved is really all you need in life.
All right?
To love and be loved.
To love and be loved.
I don't know who did anybody heard that quote? I'm gonna look up and see who.
It's become part of you now, right, Bonnie?
Yeah.
Yep. You incorporate that sense of love and be loved, and that's meaningful for you. Right. Anybody want to share? Okay. Pause and thought about, sometimes the word is so abstract. What is the meaning of meaning, right? So with Paul's experience and what he had worked through, well, I guess a lot of you don't know, he's the ordained minister by AGC. What was that? What did AGC?
Associated Gospel.
Associated Gospel of Churches, yeah. So his first occupation is a pastor. And he actually is the founding pastor of the Chinese Gospel Church on Dundas and Huron. But then he said, I'm too impatient. I can't be a good pastor. So I'm always interested in psychology. So my life meaningful is to learn more about psychology and to develop in the field of psychology. So with his background, with the spiritual training and his personal experiences and his knowledge, and he put together. And so in his mind, the model for meaning is pure. P-U-R-E. What do they represent? So these are the 4 ingredients of meaning. And P is purpose, as Carl said, the goal. You must have goals. With goals, you must have directions, and you pursue what matters to you. So that's pure. And U is understanding. You have a sense of, you understand who you are, and all right, to understand your situation, to understand other people, and to understand yourself. So that is part of how you construct meaning in your life. It's understanding the condition where you are here now, and also what was past and the circumstances where you started to think about your life. Okay. R is responsible action. You have to decide to do the right thing, assuming responsibility for your consequences. And that is very important. And E is enjoying meaningful living as a sense of purpose, significance, and happiness. So now, E could also for evaluation, right? If you have developed meaningful life, you enjoy what you got. But then if you don't, then you could evaluate and say, what did go wrong? Do I not understanding the circumstances well enough? Am I not taking responsible actions? So that E could also be. And I find that meaning approach to therapy, it's not just for adults, intellectuals, for kids. I had a 7-year-old, and she was precocious. And one time, and she just said to me, I just have, I don't know whether I mentioned to you or not, she said, I know I cannot change my daddy. And this was after 4 sessions or so. And I cannot change my mommy, but I think I could change myself. And I really understand that, sometimes I don't know what to do, but I remember I must do the right thing. That really floored me. A 7-year-old living in an adult world talking like an adult. But they do understand. So after that, and I tried teenagers, and they do understand. And they wanted to do the right thing. And it's almost like ingrained in their mind. It doesn't matter what circumstances I am in. I know I have no ability to change circumstances. I know my limitations. But I know my responsibility is to do the right thing. Now, for a young child, what do they know about the right thing? Or say, what is right, what is wrong? That's so difficult. But they innately have a sense of what is right. That is abstract, right? But that is meaning. And where do they get that meaning? We believe that it's innate. Are we wrong? I think basically we have a conscience. Somehow inside us, we know the behavior is right or the behavior is wrong. But sometimes there's a gray area, right? Sometimes not absolutely right or absolutely wrong, or depending on the circumstances. So when clients come into therapy, we have to let them know. You say, what is your goal? What is your meaning of life? And what does the society demand of you? You're not just thinking about yourself. You're thinking about above yourself, beyond yourself, beyond your family, beyond your community. I think if we all practice this, I think our society will get better. Okay, we talk about purpose and, okay, of course when you talk about purpose, you talk about here and now, you talk about the future, right? So this is, I think we could read that. And what does it serve? We could do that, you could read that. Understanding, okay. Do you understand yourself? What are you good at? What is your place in the world? And what is the pressing need of you in this particular situation at this particular time? And here it says, don't be a stranger to oneself and dare to open the dark rooms and the secret chambers in one's life. And this morning's exercise is practically doing that, right? Yeah, what are the things that we want to hide? I think timing is very important, isn't it? Sometimes it is important that you do not open up because it's not going to serve you any good purpose, and it's not going to share others. And this is something about in psychotherapy. We were talking about triggers, talking about transference and counter-transference. So often when we see a client, when the situation such and such, you just have the urge to say something. How do you manage that little, from the unconscious bubbling up? How do you do that? So you say, well, what is the goal of this session? What is my goal for my clients? Does it serve a purpose? And how much? This is the thing. Your time at that time is not yours. It's a client's. How much of that time you want to spend to talk about yourself because you have the need to talk about yourself. Now, are we entitled to have our needs met during that time? Are we entitled to, I have a need right now, I wanted to share with my clients, and, it triggers. Do we have, am I entitled to spend some time?
No.
Why not?
Because you're not being helpful to the client.
But it will be helpful for me.
Then you might be in the wrong profession.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sure you have experienced moments like those. How do you manage it?
I think you have to keep in check that the purpose of your session is not for you as a therapist. It's for the client to make yourself, it's their time, not yours. So you kind of have to thinking if it's going to be beneficial to the client for me to share this at this point in time. Am I sharing because it's going to help the client, or do I just kind of want to talk for myself?
So that's your responsibility.
Yeah.
Kick in. I am not here for my own therapy. Afterwards, I'll go to my mentor, I go to my supervisor, I'm going to get some help, right? At this moment. So to be meaningful, you say, I'm responsible for my client. And this is something, before you actually mention something for yourself, you know the trigger. And then you're going to start thinking, what is the purpose of this if I mention it, right? You use it as a tool only when you can see this disclosure could be a tool to lead the client, to help the client fulfill what my obligation is for them, right? It is meaningful for you, but at that moment, you are looking at the purpose for the client. And it's not easy.